All right, so we've talked about thesis statements, and that, my dears, is probably the best place to start and the most, I don't want to say the most important element, but it's certainly the one that you're going to build your entire essay around. But now I want to talk about the other elements and the various components and what you need to put in those various components in your literary analysis. So the first place you're going to start is your introduction, right? Because that is the first paragraph. And your introduction is going to establish some sort of context. You want to maybe give some background information or something that, you know, the average reader would need to know, something that's going to help understand your paper, some sort of framework. This does not mean that I need you to summarize the entirety of the novel, but some create I mean, you can summarize various parts or explain the specific, anything that's important or relevant in order for your reader to understand the context of your paper is good. You maybe want to discuss this specific literary device, characterization, setting, symbol. I will say, don't tell me what setting is or symbolism is. You don't need to define that for me, because I know what it is, and it's fluff. So I don't need you to start your paper with setting is defined by blah 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 as X, Y, and Z or whatever it is. So, but you can discuss. Discussing and defining are very different things. The literary device that you're looking at. So, for example, if your paper is about the members of the gang, the ones that we get to meet, the Spicer and Cubit and Dallow, because they are, that might be an interesting paper because they all represent something important that Pinky is lacking in his life. For example, Spicer, loyalty, Cubit, love, and Dallow, I want to say brawn or bravery, because anyways, but that's, I'm digressing. Anyways, discuss the specific element, and then finally, as we talked about, you want to put your thesis in one or two sentences at the end of that paragraph. And I have a little diagram here. And I'll make it bigger. Your first sentence, you want to mention the title and the author of the novel, but you don't want to provide this artificial grabber to get the audience's attention. Something fluffy. In your next sentence or two, you do want to elaborate on the subject of the book or the novel by providing brief background information. Provide details that are relevant only to your thesis, but you don't want to provide irrelevant or drawn out summaries of the novel. You may want to provide here the specific literary device, and then finally your thesis. It looks like a little, upside down triangle, because you're going to start off broad and you're going to narrow your focus into that thesis statement. So after you have your introduction where you establish your thesis statement, you want to move on to your body paragraphs. Oops. And your body paragraphs, you should have about 3, but they're going to prove or elaborate on and discuss your thesis statement. And the best place to start, as we've talked about in all of the other essays that you've written, is a topic sentence. And your topic sentence, oh, my glasses fell off, I can't read my screen. Your topic sentence is going to establish the analytical point of the paragraph. What is your focus of that paragraph? And I do want to add that your topic sentence should not be plot related. And what I mean by that, I will show you an example in just a second, but you want to begin with a topic sentence that you can build your analysis. And then after you have your topic sentence, you can provide your evidence, your quote or your detail with its citation, and then an elaboration sentence or an explanation of the evidence, its purpose, how it relates to your thesis. So after you provide your quote, you want to take the time to explain how that quote connects back to or reveals something or establishes the point that you're making in your topic sentence. Make sure, and this is the thing that I want you guys to understand, is every time you quote, you want to make sure that you explain the evidence. Don't just drop it in and expect me to draw the conclusions that you want to make with that evidence. Then after you've given me your evidence, you want to, and your elaboration, you want to give more evidence. So, and then after your evidence, you want to elaborate some more and then provide a concluding sentence that connects to the theme / thesis. And I'm going to show you an example of a good body paragraph in just a second. My point, if you guys are asking, you should probably have 2 direct quotations in each body paragraph, and those direct quotations should not be longer than a sentence or 2. I don't want to see big old long block quotes. Take the best nugget and paraphrase the rest. So what do I mean by a good, strong topic sentence? Well, let's look at this. One key feature to understanding Rose's character that Graham Greene reveals is her upbringing in Nelson Place. As indicated by Pinky's visit to Rose's household, she has grown up in poverty and not just for lack of wealth. So this is a good topic sentence because it establishes an arguable point. Okay, it's something that you can build on and elaborate and analyze, right? By showing evidence from the text to prove whatever point it is that you're trying to make in that paragraph. This is a good topic sentence because it's arguable, it's a clear, solid point, versus Pinky goes to Nelson's place to visit Rose's family. Okay, all right. Do you guys see the difference? This is a plot-related topic sentence because it merely just states a statement of fact about the plot. Okay. Of course, you guys are going to provide summary and paraphrase in your literary analysis. However, that's the topic sentence is not the place to do that. So you guys see the difference between this topic sentence versus this topic sentence? I hope so, because I want to look at the body paragraph that goes with that topic sentence. So one key to understanding Rose's character that Greene reveals is her upbringing in Nelson Place. As indicated by Pinky's visit to Rose's household, she has grown up in poverty and not just for lack of wealth. Upon welcoming him, Rose tells Pinky about what a terrible night she had and explains that she's been, quote, sending them money and that her parents don't understand everyone loses a job at some point in time. They are shown to have little care for their daughter, treating her as a resource to be worked for money or sold to Pinky like a piece of property. Ultimately, the only thing that gets them out of their mood is Pinky's offer to pay for Rose's hand in marriage. So here I have my topic sentence, my proof, my evidence, my explanation, and now this is my explanation. This is my evidence, and this is my explanation. Such a background in the community of Nelson Place, with its different parents and oppressive poverty, is something that Rose and Pinky share. For Rose, this childhood experience influences 3 major parts of her character. Firstly, her desire to leave Nelson Place. It is the longing that drives many of the actions, including part of her loyalty to Pinky. Rose believes wealth and happiness to be waiting beyond the prison of her neighborhood and will do anything to reach it. It is one of the reasons she struggles so desperately to stay by Pinky's side. Furthermore, Rose seems to possess a certain pride in her own hardship. She believes herself to be experienced as a result of her suffering and therefore above certain certain others like Ida, who she perceives as naive to true adversity. Ironically, it is also the source of Rose's naivete. She has little experience with the harsh reality of mob crime, and even less with the concept of love. She has spent her life as a slave to her parents and thus becomes overly attached when Pinky shows even the slightest hints of affection. She doesn't understand what love truly is, and because of that, she becomes far too devoted to one that isn't real. Her history is one of the biggest components of her character, as well as a source of her choices throughout the novel. So, okay, I know that that took a long time to read, but it's a good body paragraph because she takes the time to provide evidence and then analysis, okay? Why it matters, why it's important. The only thing that I would have liked is if she had used either another primary piece of evidence or a secondary source to support this body paragraph. But your topic sentence, your body paragraph of your body paragraph is an arguable point, one that you can elaborate and build. Then I want to talk a little bit about the support that you're going to have in your body paragraphs, the support that you're going to use to support your thesis, prove your thesis, and build on your body paragraphs. They can be direct quotations. They can be a summary of scenes, paraphrases, or citing other critics' analysis or your secondary sources. And those are going to be, I want to see a little bit of all of that in each of your body paragraphs. To talking a little bit more about secondary sources. Secondary sources are anything, a book or an article that discusses the text you're discussing, a book or article that discusses a theory related to the argument you're making, or a book or an argument that discusses social or historical context of the text you're discussing. So any and all of that constitutes a secondary source. I am going to provide you guys with a number of secondary sources to consult and use for this essay and anything else you want to use that's on you, but I'm going to provide you guys with some academic articles for this essay. So be on the lookout for that in Canvas. So, but your primary source of support should always, first and foremost, be direct quotations and the text itself. Anything else is secondary. So make sure that in every body paragraph you have support, direct quotations and paraphrases and things from the actual text itself. Finding secondary sources, like I said, I'm going to give you guys a few in Canvas, but you want to consult the academic databases like JSTOR, the Literary Resource Center, Project Muse, Dictionary of Literary Biography, bibliography as part of your text, or me. You can ask me. But the library databases are the place that you want to consult first after Canvas. I don't want to see a bunch of internet websites like Shmoop and Lit Quotes or Lit Charts or anything like that, because that's not those aren't really good secondary sources. So let me know if you have any questions about finding and using secondary sources. But like your primary and secondary sources, they should be integrated into your essay. Make sure that you, and this goes for your primary sources too, make sure you show how they relate to your thesis, and make sure you don't overuse any one secondary source or secondary sources in general. I'm going to be looking first and foremost for primary support and secondary source. Even if you only use secondary sources 1 or 2 times, 3, that's okay. So I say that because I want you to remember that this is your paper, your argument, and the secondary sources are just helping you out. And finally, please never ever plagiarize. Don't pass anything off that anybody else has written as your own, because first I will catch you and you will get a 0 on the assignment, and it's not cool. So make sure that you don't plagiarize. But remember, this is your paper. I'm interested in your interpretation, and I don't want you to let secondary sources outshine your point of view. All right. So body paragraphs, just one more time. Topic sentence, evidence, elaboration, and a concluding sentence that connects back to your so what. You never, ever, ever want to end a paragraph with a quote. I think I said that before, but I'm just going to put that here. Don't start or end a paragraph with a quote. Okay. Finally, after you have however many body paragraphs it is that you are going to have, you should have at least 3. You're going to reach your conclusion. And in your conclusion, obviously, you're going to restate your thesis in some sort of fashion. Please don't just, regurgitate it or copy and paste it and put it in there. But the important part of your conclusion, the real meat and potatoes of your conclusion, is looking at the larger implication. How does your reading of the text enrich or complicate our understanding of a cultural movement, appreciation for a significant issue, anything in the particular text? Why does it matter? How does looking at a specific part of the novel enhance it as a whole? And what are we meant to take from it? What is Graham Greene trying to tell us? What do you think the overall significance of the novel is? What is the message? What is the meaning? Okay, so just to recap, when you're writing a literary analysis, you want to make sure that you are familiar with the text in literary terms. You want to make sure that you analyze specific items to make an argument and make appropriate use of secondary sources and consult instructors and or tutors for help when needed. So if you would like my help to come up with a thesis or to kind of figure out the essay, I will be more than happy to help you. I'm going to give you an outline as well as to kind of, for those of you that would like it, but, and I'd be happy to look at a draft for anybody that wants to look at it. But if you want me to look at a draft, I would really like for you guys to schedule an appointment to meet with me during my office hours. So make sure, that's just a kind of recap. And I do want to say really quickly, avoid, like the plague, declarative sentences. I'm going to analyze. This paper will prove. I intend to blah, 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 blah. Any kind of declarative statements. Don't tell me what you're going to do. Just do it. So you also want to avoid empty, fluffy personal phrases like I believe, in my opinion, second person you. And I will add one more thing. You want to write about this novel in the present tense because you always write about literature in the present tense. So it's not Rose married Pinky, but Pinky, or Rose marries Pinky. So pay attention to your tense. If you have any questions about any of that, please let me know. And lastly, for those of you guys who are swimming around thinking, I don't know what the heck I'm going to write about, I have a list of topics that you may or may not want to kind of look at. I'll put this in Canvas as well. But one of the topics is how in Brighton Rock does Greene present Ida and Pinky's contrasting views of the world? How in the novel does Greene examine the difference between right and wrong, good and evil? How far would you agree that this novel is not so much about Brighton as about heaven and hell? Consider the importance of place in Brighton Rock. How far does the novel endorse the view of Rose's confessor that, quote, a Catholic is more capable of evil than anyone? Examine Greene's use of contrast as a narrative device in Brighton Rock. I don't believe what my eyes don't see. How far does Brighton Rock support or challenge Dallow's view of the world? Ida's world is clearly marked and comfortable to live in. Pinky's, because of his Catholic training, is a minefield of terrors, and he is pathetic even in his nastiness. How far would you agree with this judgment? Does Greene argue that we are conditioned by our environment within the context of the novel? You could do a character analysis. You can look at symbols, motifs that occur throughout the novel. Some motifs that occur throughout the novel music, and who hates it? Pinky. You could also provide an analysis of a particular place, places in the novel, and the people associated with them. Anything that I mean, I am leaving this open to you. These are just some suggestions, and feel free to build off of anything that you've done in your discussion boards. If you particularly want to expound on a particular comment or want to explore something further, please, by all means. And I hope that if you guys are stuck or if you need any kind of help in coming up with what you want to write about, please don't hesitate to email me. Even if you just send me an email saying, look, Miss Swan, I'm confused. I don't know what to write about, but I do know that I want to look at Pinky. So, or I want to look at the mob relationships or whatever. Give me a little bit to go on so I can help you out as best I can. So, that's it. That's about all I've got in terms of writing a literary analysis. And if you guys have any questions, please don't hesitate to get in touch with me, and I will talk to you guys later.